Hi Wanda, how are you? I'm Dan from Best Realty. I see you've got a lovely entryway here as part of our inspection process. Do you mind if I come in? I see you've got nice hardwood floors. That's going to be really good for the market. You know, you're going to appeal to a lot of different people. A nice spacious lounge room here with great views out across the town. So that's going to be really, really important when we do eventually list your property as well. I can see all the paintwork inside is really, really tidy. Haven't got any cracks or construction marks around the walls. And your skirting's all really neat as well. The colour tone is really, really nice. Really like that. So that's going to play really well moving forward. I see you've got a nice open plan living with your living area here as well. Your furniture, obviously, I imagine you'll take with you. Yep, so no shadows there. All your fixtures and everything, I imagine, will just be what's in the kitchen. Excellent. Okay, we can make that work. Nice open plan living. That's going to look really good on our listing and everything should you choose to move ahead. Looking into your kitchen, obviously very, very nice colour tone. You've kept a lot of white throughout. That keeps it very open and appealing into a broader market. Something like a feature wall, we would say, would appeal to rather specific clientele, and we'd look at in changing that to make it a bit more appealing to a broader audience. But I can see you've got nice bench tops here, your cupboards, so the standard chipboard as well. Relatively new in the kitchen. Oh, it was new when you moved in, awesome. And like as I sort of said, I imagine things like the oven and the stove will stay, but the rest will go when you leave. Excellent, so no chattels there, just the standard fixtures. Excellent, all right, well, if you've got a few minutes, I'd like to have a sit and run through a few more things. So, Wanda, how long have you lived here?
We've lived here about 18 months, but have decided it's not the home for us.
Okay, well, what sort of makes you want to sell? Why would you say it's not the home for you?
The property's too large for us to maintain on our own.
Fair enough, fair enough. Are there any improvements that you're wanting to do that you thought about without putting sort of anything into action? Was there anything you hadn't gotten around to as far as improvements? That can be renos or landscaping.
We had visions of grandeur when we bought this home. There are honestly more things we thought about than we ever put much detail into.
Fair enough, these things happen. Are there any improvements or renovations that you have done recently that I should highlight for any potential buyers or prospects?
We recently added the pantry cupboard to the kitchen. Before we bought this place, it was used as a holiday home, so made storage and food storage much less important.
Fair enough. No, that's a good addition. I can see that one over there. What was the sort of time frame that you were hoping that we would get this property sold?
We were hoping to have the property sold within the next 6 months.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. It's a reasonable time frame. With any luck, we'll be able to get it done a bit sooner than that. Did you have a price or a price range in mind that you thought would be an acceptable price when we sell your property?
We were hoping for somewhere between $700,000 and $750,000. Does that sound reasonable?
Without having completed a full evaluation, it does seem reasonable given the location and the neighbouring properties are all residential. There's not a lot of new development in this area, so if someone wants to live here, they pretty well have to buy a property that is already here. That obviously works in your favour. On top of that, you've got a lot of open space and a lot of really nice views. You're up on a hill, you're nice and high, and there's no commercial work in and around you. It's all residential. So those things all work in your favour, but in saying that, we won't know until we complete our finalised appraisal for you.
Great.
Just moving forward, if you did decide that you'd like to list with us, what would be your preferred methods of communication? Would you rather I ring you every second day with an update, or what would you sort of like the process to be?
I'd say our preferred method it would be email, as the computer's always logged into our email account.
Perfect, that's very fair. I'll make sure I keep a note of that. And if you did decide you'd like to proceed, we do up a communication plan for you as well. That way you're going to be informed exactly as to what's happening moving forward. I would say your price range is very, very fair. Something I would suggest that we consider prior to listing your property is that there's a couple of things that I think could be improved. Small things, cost effectively, that can make a big improvement on your property valuation in the end. Do you mind if I run through a couple of those with you?
Definitely.
Sure. Okay, so a couple of things that I noticed on my entry is that you do have a rather lengthy staircase out the front. Now, it's predominantly in excellent condition, but there are a couple of steps along the way that are just showing signs of wear and tear. A few cracks, chips in the paint, and a little, I don't even know how you describe it, but a little bit of a wear mark on your hand railing as well. Those are the sort of things that we could look at fixing, and I imagine that the pricing of those we're going to be looking at is in the hundreds as opposed to the thousands. But getting those fixed is going to be a bit more appealing to any buyers in the future. So that's one. Option number two could be we could look at getting some of your louvers either replaced with a more open window. This is obviously a rather more expensive project, so obviously one to put a bit more thought into. But it is something that could make that opening of and really utilise a lot of the views that you've got access to quite exclusively in this part of the town. So I think if we looked at something like that, you are going to be talking with a fully contracted builder, and you are going to be looking at a glassmaker as well. So I would suspect you want to be paying no less than $2,000 or maybe $3,000 on those kind of changes, perhaps even more. The benefits, though, if you can really highlight the views that you have access to here, I think is going to be in the 5-figure range as opposed to 4,000 or 5,000. So you're going to get your money back on the sale. Option number 3, have a look at your kitchen. It is a very, very nice kitchen, but it is quite white. White is brilliant as far as there's a lot of room for customization, but a couple of little changes in the kitchen may just actually really highlight it and accentuate that it's fairly new. You could look at doing something like bench tops or something you could go all in on, but that's like $5,000-6,000 investment, and I don't imagine these aren't old bench tops, so you may not yield that much back. Like, you'd obviously improve the value of the property, but it may not be by the amount you'd end up spending. Another option could be to update your tapware, some black tapware or some updated styling in your tapware, as well as your handles on the cupboards as well. Something like a black handle might just help break up that white and just appeal to a younger sort of buyer as well. Yeah. So there's a couple, obviously estimated costs, depending on what you did. You might have $200 or $300 to update a lot of your tapware, or if you were to do it your cupboard handles, you might be looking at $200 there. So a few $100 may just highlight and embolden a buyer a little bit more. Looking at those options, I have worked up a brief property listing kit for you. I'd like to quickly run through the different methods of sale. Now, we do highlight this quite early on in our profiling here on our 3rd page. Realistically, if you keep looking through our listings, there's 4 ways you can go. Okay? Realistically, the best ways to go are either private treaty, an auction, or a tender. Now, these are all perfectly fine ways to go. Your 6-month time frame for me does tend to rule out an auction, as an auction is very much a let's get this deal done as quickly as we possibly can, get what money we get on offer, and then run with it from there. A tender is, it's not a bad way to do it. It's kind of the lesser of two evils with your private treaty. But private treaty is probably the way I'd recommend for you. Now, private treaty is your more traditional real estate listing. It gets put up on advertising, it gets listed with the price, and then a buyer is arranged to meet with us as your agent, and then we sort of work our way through and make sure both parties end up happy with the whole exchange. Realistically, you won't necessarily get the price you actually advertise it for, but you'll have potentially more control as to what is actually offered for the property. Okay. Sure. So obviously our recommendation is to go with a private treaty, go through that way. As for our marketing plan, now we've briefly gone through a couple of these options, you and I, over the phone in the last few days, so I won't spend a lot of time going through these, but my recommendations include things like getting professional photos taken, a floor plan, listings with certain places such as on billboards. It's all listed there for you in black and white, and you can keep this copy when we're finished. If you do decide you'd like to take us on, I just ask that you confirm or remove anything in here that you would not like us to do, and then we can obviously make sure everything is done fully up to speed for you. As far as open homes and inspections, I do not want to downplay the value that you will get from having potential buyers walk in and actually look at your home, both furnished and maybe at a later stage if you've already found somewhere else to go, if it's unfurnished as well. As far as open homes go, I want to really put your mind at ease that we will be supervising all people around the property, It wouldn't be just myself, it would be me and all the members of our sales team to make sure that everything was secure, and also to make sure that you didn't have to stress about your personal belongings being touched, damaged or played with. Just shut that door for you. Okay, so rest assured there would be people looking in your personal areas as well. They would want to look at all areas of the house. We wouldn't be able to seal off certain ones, but obviously that has to fit with you. An inspection is obviously very much one-on-one. So we would be able to walk them through and obviously observe them and their reactions the entire way through. These inspections also give us the opportunity to get feedback from potential buyers. So they can tell us if they believe the property is too expensive and why. They can also tell us if I noticed 3 things when I was briefly inspecting the place, but they might be able to walk in and notice 2 or 3 other things that we could change to appeal to a broader buyer market as well. Okay, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Obviously, my agency. You are aware 100% of who I am and where I am from. So I'm from Best Realty. We've had plenty of phone conversations and exchanged a number of emails, so I don't need to go through a lot of these. It is here in black and white for you who we are and what we offer you, as well as a brief breakdown of what the expected costs of our services are. 3% plus GST. So you're looking at about 3.3% of your total sale price is what we would be expecting as our fee. Okay. Any questions about that? All pretty cleared up?
All pretty clear.
Excellent. Perfect. We take great pride in our privacy of our clients. There's certain things we cannot hide from people. For example, if they do a property title search, they're going to know if there's any encumbrances on it to the minimum details, all on public record. Those are things we can't hide from people. We also can't hide things like easements and those sort of things. But when we come to an open home or anything like that, we will look at the place with you prior to any open home to make sure that everything of yours of personal value is put away. And obviously we do everything per legislation and regulation to keep your personal details safe and protected. Okay.
Great.
So the communication plan, I've already briefly mentioned that we would look at predominantly filling that with email based on your preferred method of communication. There would be sometimes we would need to phone you if things become urgent, but we'd predominantly try to use email. Obviously, I understand that your husband and yourself are quite elderly, and you've mentioned to me on the phone that your husband is also a bit hard of hearing. So we do everything that we can to communicate via, realistically, black and white. And then obviously, if you have any questions about anything along the way, I understand English isn't necessarily your first language, so you can always ask us questions and we can fill you in from there. Happy to clarify at any point. Okay. I have also taken the liberty of doing up a preliminary copy of what we call our Form 6, which is our listing information as per property occupations as well. So I've done a fair bit of the information out here, but I also understand that your husband gave you a few questions in regards to Part 3, Part 4, Part 6, Part 7 and Part 8. Okay, so we'll have a quick look in here. So the details of the property, I did a brief summary in here. Now you can choose to use this or you can choose to change it if you would like to. Really, the home is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house on 650 square metres. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. You can stick with that if you'd like. I can obviously complete more of an inspection, and if you'd like to change it, we can do that with you as well. Obviously, the address is all pretty self-explanatory, but the description is just the baseline details that you normally see in the top line of any listing advertised for a property. Okay. The Part 4, the term of appointment. Realistically, you're getting us to sell the property for you, and it's a continuing appointment. Realistically, you don't want us to only list your property for a set period. So if you said to us, if it wasn't sold in 6 months, we'd want to have an end date. That's fine. We can go that way. Or if you just want us to list it until it is sold, with any luck, it'll be within the 6 months, we'd have a no fixed end date. It just have a starting date. Okay. Okay. Now you also have a question about Part 6, which is the difference between an open listing and exclusive agency. Now, the biggest difference is an open listing. You can go to any real estate agent that you like, and it's more or less open slather as to who can sell the property first. And if you're looking for an absolute rapid sale, perhaps that might be a more interesting prospect. An exclusive agency basically just means you have our full attention. We are working exclusively with you, and you're working exclusively with us. There can be there's much less chance of a miscommunication as far as you know that we're the only real estate agent who is going to contact you regarding your listing for your house. Okay. The part 7 that we've briefly discussed already is the commission fee. At the end of the sale, there's a 3.3% inclusive of GST fee for the commission. This is payment for our services that we've briefly outlined in our listing guide for you. If we can negotiate on those, but please give us a call or send me an email if you have any questions about it. Authorization to incur fees. Okay. Realistically, our marketing plan is designed it is a fee for you to pay. This section is you giving us permission to accrue those fees for you in the hope of selling your home. So when you confirm exactly what you'd like us to do within that fee, we can make that work, and we'll change the Form 6 to reflect what you would like it to have. I've currently filled that out as per the plan in your listing guide of what my gut tells me we should reflect, and how we should go about marketing your property. But this number can obviously change when you come to actually finalising listing with us, should you choose to proceed. Okay. I believe that covers pretty well everything we have to go through. I'll email you through a copy of a signed Form 6, the seller's communication plan, which I haven't got with me here today, and a completed record of inspection. So if you're happy, I'll complete the inspection now and get a finalised appraisal for you.
Perfect, thank you.